Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Joan Misiak. Today, I want to talk about Personal Health Week. I've been mentioning a little bit about how I was taking some time for me, and I decided when I took the time off for the week, I was like, I'm not going to focus so much on work. I'm going to focus on me and taking care of me. And I decided to call it Personal Health Week for me. I don't know. I just decided to call it that. I was like, oh, me week, but I decided anyways. So when I looked up personal health, it says the ability to take charge of your health by making conscious decisions to be healthy. And that is what I've done this week. So here I am recording on the week that I said I wasn't going to work. It was in my calendar. I literally last minute, like the week before, I decided I needed to take some time for me. And the thing is, I wasn't going to do this. However, I've been so inspired to do my podcast. So I kept going because when I'm tapped into inspiration, I really want to share because I'm literally tapped right in. So anyways, I am on my week of personal health, but this is the only thing I'm doing this week is recording podcasts because, I'm inspired to do so. So what I've been doing this week is a big one for me is focusing on sleep. So I've decided that I want to try and shift my morning so I'm up a little earlier than normal. So I have more time in my morning to do my yoga practice, and I want to start taking walks with my husband. So on his break, I want to walk and we'll do a coffee break walk down to the ocean. So I've been trying to figure out how to fit that into my day. So I'm like, okay, I want to go to bed earlier. So I've been honoring that. And so I made it a commitment really. So I'm like, okay, if I go upstairs by 10:30 and I'm, that means I'll check on the kids and do my, make sure all the lights are off and everything. And I'll be in bed by 11, like falling asleep by then. And then I can be up by 7. So I thought about what time I wanted to get up and things like that and what time I need to go to bed. I am a night owl, so it's a little challenging at times, but I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I made a commitment to myself to sleep better. Now, I have not always fallen asleep at the time, but I've always been in bed by the time I wanted to be. So that to me is a huge win. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best you can. So for me, it's like I have these intentions and have made a commitment to myself for things. And it's about showing up the best I can. So it's not about like, oh man, I didn't do this and I beat myself up. It's about trying to do better than I did the day before. Or if the day before was really good and it's just about trying to do your best. So I've been focusing on sleep. I've also been tapping, so EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, every day. And I've just been really learning and embracing things more about myself. I've been just really focusing on taking care of myself, asking myself what I need, what's showing up for me, and just really being okay with where I am and knowing that I still have candida overgrowth in my gut. It still shows up. So I've been really focusing on eating the foods that will support me through this instead of not. So I love cheese, and I think I mentioned this before. However, cheese is an inflammatory, and so is gluten. So I have to stay away from that to help my gut heal, because when everything's inflamed, it's having a harder time in my body. So anyways, so knowing that, I'm taking the information I have and listening to my body and taking that information and be like, okay, these things need to get removed for now. And it's just trying to love myself through this process. So I know not everybody can just be like, I'm taking a week off last minute. It might not work. It's one of the upsides about being an entrepreneur, your own boss, you kind of make the rules. And I personally decided to do it because I've been showing up in my office, but I haven't been showing up fully energized or inspired or any of those things because I've been feeling kind of crappy. So I'm like, you know what? I could push through what I had planned, or I could take a step back and do something different. And that's what I decided to do. I decided to take some time for me to really fill my cup up, but not even just fill my cup up because I could fill it up, but then everything under the surface is still there. So I'm like peeling back layers, asking myself questions, getting curious about myself. What do I need right now to feel better? So then I can show up better. And so if that's something that you'd like to do, but you're like, I can't take off a week, that's like too long. Try a day. Like, do it over a weekend if you can. Heck, man, you can even do an hour. And if it's not something that you're like, oh, but you try for an hour. And then if you love it, you can incorporate it into your day or your week a little bit more. Like you choose an hour where it's like, I'm just going to get to know myself better. I'm going to do what I need to do in this hour for me. As a parent, it is so easy to get caught up in things. And I'm going to be honest. So here's my week of personal health where I focus on being really mindful about my own health, my own well-being. And this isn't just physical, it's mental, spiritual, it's the whole package, our whole being, not just the physical parts. And then I was at my kid's school today for the talent show because it came up last minute. So it wasn't like I pushed the world aside for the week. I have kids. I have two beautiful, amazing kids, and their life is still going on, and I want to be a part of it. So it's not like I locked myself up in a room or went away to a cabin far, far away from everybody or got a hotel room. I didn't do that. I just took my work hours and took those to work on things and really just take time for me to kind of understand my body, what's going on with it. Why is this candida overgrowth still around? Like really asking myself some deep questions and just really just giving myself some extra love. So it can be whatever it is for you. So if this is, you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds like an amazing idea, but like, how am I going to fit it in? It's about taking the parts that work for you and fitting them into your life because everybody's different. And like I said, you can do it for a weekend or you can just make it 1 hour, one day. And then if it works out, you can make more time for it, whatever works for you. But this has been a really amazing thing because the moment I allowed myself to breathe and to take care of me on a deeper level, I was inspired. I had all these ideas for podcast episodes and the weight was off my shoulders and it's just so freeing and amazing. And I just feel so much better this week because I allowed myself to empty off stuff off my plate and focus on just me. And obviously, like I said, I do have kids, so I focus on them in the afternoon. But for those few hours that they're at school, the 5 hours, give or take, it was all me. My focus was, if I didn't get a good night's sleep the night before, then allow myself to go back to bed and honor that part and be okay with it. Because a lot of the time we can feel guilty, having a nap or taking time for ourselves. We can feel like shamed that we had to have a nap because we're so tired. The thing is, it's about honoring yourself, honoring where you are. And that's what I've been doing. So it's like, okay, what's showing up for me? And just being there with myself. So personal health can happen in any shape or form, but it's being conscious, making a conscious decision to show up. And again, it's not just focusing on the physical aspects. That's part of it. So this was my foundation week where I've really allowed myself to meet myself where I am right now. And whatever showed up. And it was okay. And I just love myself right where I was. And then as the weeks go on and I get back to my work schedule and things like that, I'm going to keep showing up consistently and at the same time building upon that layer, that foundation. So I've been focusing on my yoga practice. So doing yoga asanas and meditation and breathing. And then next week, I'm hoping to add some more strength training in and adding more walks in. Like I've got one good solid walk in this past week, but opening space for more. So sometimes, life can just feel so crazy. Like we've like I've been mentioning, we've had our plates have been very full. So it kind of makes sense that all of a sudden my being, the mind, my body, my spirit, everything is like, like yelling at me, like slow down and take time for you. And I listened to that call because I could tell things were getting too much because we've been going too much. Like I've actually been saying no to a few quite a few things lately, actually, because I'm like, it's not in line with where I want to be right now. I have a friend that want to go to the city. I'm like, I don't want to go near the city right now. I just want to take time for me and just be with me at this moment and really feed myself nourishing, loving foods and things like that. So it's really important to know where you're at and what you need and what you don't need. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want to go to the city sometime, but it just means like right now is not a good time for me. And it's being okay with saying no to things that just don't feel right now. So, and then like for my kids too, like I have to, the fun thing as a parent is you have to be there for them and help them get out of their comfort zone, help them do things, but at the same time, honor where they're at. And my kids are the same way. Like they can't be full up all the time. I'm sure a lot of people are like that. But for my kids and myself, like we can only go so long for so hard, so long kind of thing before we're maxed out. So it's finding this balance. So it's already like, okay, your plate is full. There's no more room for anything. So it's helping them make those decisions, but also allowing them to make decisions. So it's like finding this balance and then teaching them that sometimes it's okay to say no because you got too much going on. So anyways, that's what I've been doing with myself this past week is really just feeling my feelings, peeling back the layers, giving myself what I need. And like I said, sleep is super important. The week before, I was pulling so many late nights. I forget what was going on, but we would all be going to bed late, everybody. So it starts with my youngest. He'll go to bed, and then it goes down the line. So first my son, and then my oldest, then my husband, and then myself. And it's like boom, boom, boom. And if the first one goes to bed, or if my son goes to bed later than planned, then we're all just pushed out. And I know last week I was getting 6 hours of sleep here and there, and that is not enough of sleep. So it's not about beating yourself up, but it's being aware and then like figuring out how to pivot to do better, because I know I need sleep. My sweet spot is 9 hours, and I'm happy if I get 8. But my sweet spot, like if I feel really good, is 9. But we're all different. And because even my kids, like they need different amounts of sleep. So and they both fall asleep differently too. So that's always fun. So it's honoring you, getting to know yourself better. And that's what this week has been for me. So first, before I took this week, I'm like, okay, what do I need? And I didn't have a huge, like it wasn't like day 1, I'm going to do this. Day 2, it was, I'm focusing on sleep. I am focusing on stress management. Like we have had so much stress up in this house, and I was overwhelmed by the amount of stress. Like I was getting piled on by stress, and I'm like, I need to take a step back and really find ways to get through this better, because I wasn't handling the stress well. And then it's also like, how can we get rid of some of that stress? Like not everything can just go away. Like there's going to be stress in life. It happens. But I had to figure out how to manage it and then how to like alleviate some of it as well. It's like, there was a pressure cooker going on and somebody blocked it, and it was just like about to burst in this house. I'm pretty much the one that is the foundation for the emotions. Like when people are having negative feelings and bad days, or when they're I am the support throughout this whole house. So it's really important that I find ways to really ground myself, love myself, and alleviate stress and manage it. Or else, like if I'm stressed out, oh boy, like the whole house is a hot mess. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing this week, is I'm taking time for me. And like I said, I didn't have a huge plan. The only thing is, it's like I wrote down when I wanted to get to sleep and when I wanted to wake up. Now I haven't been waking up at that time, but because we had like a power outage and like the evenings were a little different than planned, but I still managed to go to bed at the right time, just not asleep because of things going on. The power came back on and it woke me up at like 3:30, things like that, because everything turns back on and beeps and all that fun jazz. Anyways, so like I said, I didn't have a huge plan other than focus on sleep and stress management and movement. So I put down the 3 areas that I really knew would help. So actually, what I've decided, I just found my notes and I want to share with you. So last week, so this is the week I'm doing personal health week. Last week, I was like, oh, something needs to change. I'm not loving life right now. I'm feeling it. And like I shared in another episode, like I was really negative and angry. And I remember like completely dumping a lot of guck on my friend. And it's like, whoa, like we went for a forest walk and I let it all out. And I walked home like afterwards. I'm like, yeek, something needs to change. I don't love this. I'm feeling a lot of stuff and I need to switch it around. So I realized that I was so caught up in this negative story and I needed to shift it. And that's when I was like, I need to do something. And this is what I'm doing, Personal Health Week, where I get to really take care of me, my needs, and give myself what I need so I can show up and be a better mom, a better human, and a better like just woman, person for myself, for my kids, for the community, for everybody around, but really so I can feel more like me again. That's really comes down to. Because after my walk that week, I was like, whoa, who is this person? I was like, I was reminded about before, like earlier on my self-love journey, I was like, whoa. So I was kind of getting a little lost in who I am because I wasn't taking enough care of myself and not really giving myself what I needed. So I needed to take a break. So what I did was when I realized that I'm taking some time, I didn't even know what I was going to call. I was like, I'm just taking a week off. And then I was like, let's call it Personal Health Week, right? So anyways, I did mention other times that labels, like you don't need a label, by the way. I just was like, this is what I'm calling it because, yeah, I wanted to call it something. And so I didn't feel like I was just, taking off work for a week and just, anyways, I decided to call it something. So I wrote down sleep. And then I was like, okay, I know that I want at least 8 hours of sleep. Again, my sweet spot is 9, but so stretch goals, right? So I wrote down the hours that I was going to sleep. And then I'm like, okay, I want to get upstairs start going up the stairs by 10:30. So then I was like, okay, I want to start relaxing by 9:30. So I was like figuring out when I wanted to go to sleep and get up. And then all those other things. So I focused, so I wrote down sleep and what I was going to do to accomplish that. I've written down 4 different things, but these were things that I'm like, okay, over time, I want to rebuild into my world, into my day kind of thing. So movement, I have yoga, asanas. So I really want to just focus on my yoga practice, really show up on my mat every day. And that alone is just so full of awesome because my yoga practice involves breathing and meditation as well. And then I have strength training. There's this beautiful workout that I do with weights, and then rebounding, which is jumping on a mini trampoline, and walks and hikes. So the walks and hikes, I fit in, like I said, a walk that it's been a weekly walk. So I did that, but I also or really a hike in the forest. So I do that weekly anyways, but then I want to incorporate more walks with my husband during the day so we can connect, but we're also walking and moving our bodies. My husband and I both, sit most of the day working. So it's nice to get out and move our bodies here and there. So anyway, so I had those written down, but my main focus this week was yoga asanas. And then, like I said, I'd like to try and get walks in, but I'm still trying to figure that out. So it's having these ideas, having these things to incorporate, and then kind of listening to your body. Like for me, it was listening to my body, just kind of going with the flow and figuring out how it's going to work into my life. And then the third thing I wrote down was stress management. And this is a huge one because I've been feeling very stressed out about just so many different things. Our kids are getting into this new world, like life and like the school. They have so many school activities. Like I've just been filling out so many forms, left, right, and center, permission slips to do things. I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys are busy. Anyway, so it's just figuring out how to manage that stress, right? Stress is happening in our life. It's happening, especially as a parent. It's definitely going to be happening. But it doesn't mean it has to be, like, I don't have to be reactive to it. And I don't have to be taking that stress personally in and things like that. So life is happening. Things can feel stressful, but we don't have to take that in as much as I have been recently. Anyway, so I wrote down under it meditation, tapping, journaling, and then yoga and other movement, because yoga, like I said, my yoga practice is just full of so many of those things anyways. Breathing, because I mentioned in a different episode, yoga is not just asanas. It's so much more. It's meditation, breathing, and just so much more. So anyways, if you want to do more, know more about yoga, definitely listen to that. I believe it was coming out in June. What I knew about yoga was wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called or is called. So I have all those under it. So I've been meditating and tapping and doing a little bit of journaling and yoga. So like the stress part has really been, actually I have been journaling quite a bit, mostly around my weight, my body, and everything that's hurting, and figuring out why feelings are happening, and anyways, things like that. And but yeah, so meditation, tapping. So I've been really focusing on the stress part, and it has been showing. I've still been a little grumpy when I wake up sometimes, possibly because my evenings have been kind of not a straight through full night of sleep. A lot of the time I've been interrupted by different things that life has, been happening. Like I said, the power outage. But the thing is that my stress management part has been really on par, and it has been really helping me. And then it can help me show up better and more like myself. Have you noticed that when you're stressed out? Like, at least for me, I would be saying things. I'm like, who is this person? This is not me. I'm not showing up as me. And I was like, what is going on? And then that could actually make us more stressed out, more angry and sad, because we're not showing up as our best selves. And then that's what started this whole personal health week for me, is because I'm like, I'm not being me anymore. I'm not being true to me. But obviously part of me is frustrated, angry, and negative. So the stress management part, though, has helped me really reconnect to myself. So when, my kids come home and maybe they've had a bad day and they just come through the door with such heavy waves of emotions, I can be grounded and calm. Actually, I'm going to share a story before we wrap up, because I just was reminded of this. So the other day, a couple days ago, I think, my husband comes and goes, heads up. Well, my son was already in the door, so I knew it was my oldest kiddo feeling some things. I'm like, oh, do you know what's going on? And he's like, no, I have no idea. I'm like, okay, because they were sitting in the car still. I'm like, okay. So I connected to my breath. I was just like, okay, embrace for impact. And I'm just like, okay, whatever happens, it's all good. Just let them feel, let them be. And then they come in, and I don't ask them if they're okay or anything. I kind of let them lay the groundwork. And my husband did think about before they came in from the car, though, that the possibility was because of this bus to the track meet and things like that. Anyway, so they were slightly disappointed, I think. So I got a little bit of information from my husband before Anastasia came in the door. And so I was like, okay. So I let them talk, and then they brought out their forms, and I kind of let them be. I let them just, with so much love, I just sent them just love, and I was just present with them in that moment with them. And then because I had an idea of what it was, I think they gave me the form, and I just said, look, we don't have to make a decision about this right now. We can eat supper, we can get a good night's sleep, and we can decide this later, or heck man, we can even wait till the weekend to talk about this. We don't have to make a decision now. And the moment that I allowed them to just be without having to make any decisions, that I was good, like they could either take the bus or I would take them, because they were looking forward. We had this whole plan. Most years we have to drive our kids to the track meet. So they were looking forward to me taking them because we already had this plan. Because I've like, you know what, I'll take you this year. Because last year they didn't have anybody cheering them on. And I was like, I'll take the day off and I'll spend time with you and things like that. So they were disappointed because then I wasn't going to be taking them anymore. I said, look, I'm still going to go. You just can take the bus if you like. So anyways, I allowed them to be, I was like, I'm okay with either decision. And then I also let them have space that they don't have to make a decision right now. And the moment I did all that, their energy shifted. They were happy. So they were they were just, because we play these stories in our head. So I just allowed them to have space to be okay with, there's two different possibilities, but they don't have to make a decision right now. So I'm sharing this story with you because we can do this for ourselves as well. We can hold space for ourselves. We don't always have to make a decision right away. Now, obviously, if it's life and death, yes. But like a lot of the time, it's not life and death. You can say, you know what? I need a moment or I need a day to think about it. You know, I'm going to get a good night's sleep. Or you can be like, I'm going to think on it. You never have to make a decision right away. Unless like obviously on occasions you do. But most of the time, you can just take some time to think about it. You don't have to say yes right away. You don't have to say no right away. You can take time to think about it. Just give yourself space. And the fun thing is just because one thing might not be happening doesn't mean the other thing isn't good. So I talked about change in another episode, and it's the same idea. I had my kid was disappointed because they were looking forward to hanging out with their mom. Right? We were going to have a fun trip to the track meet and things like that because it is out of town. So, you know, we would have like a good half hour together. And they were probably thinking that if they took the bus, I wouldn't show up for them. And that's not true. Also for ourselves, it's like, okay, just because something changes or, you know, there's two different options doesn't mean it's all or nothing either, right? So taking time to change perspectives, think of different ways of seeing a situation or an idea or an adventure or change, any of those things, changing perspective, but honoring and letting yourself have space just to be there, to honor where you're at, to feel those feelings. And then knowing that it's going to be okay, whichever decision you make. So the love that I gave my child through those moments, you can give yourself those loving moments as well. To hold space for yourself. Like the moment I just grounded myself in that moment and allowed them to feel. They didn't come in like they normally do, like all like angry and throwing things and going up to their room. It was very calm. Like I was calm so they could be calm. So when things come up for you too, it's about grounding yourself in that moment. And I do have that one about breathing in here. So if you need that, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, a little stressed out, go back to the one that's called Just Breathe and listen to that and be grounded in the present moment. Because the moment you're grounded in that present moment, things don't seem to be as scary. You can hold space for yourself and just allow yourself to be where you are. Get tapped into who you are. And then know that you don't have to say yes or no to somebody right away. You don't have to make a decision right away. Be like, you know what? I need a day. I need to have a good night's sleep first. And you can also know that you don't have to explain yourself to other people. Be like, okay, you know what? I'll let you know tomorrow. Like it can be as that simple. Okay, cool. I'll let you know tomorrow. Point blank. You do not owe anybody an explanation. I've talked about this in another episode as well. So just know that just ground into who you are. What do you need right now? Do you need a nap? Do you need, a vacation? I know sometimes I'm like, oh man, I could really use a vacation. My kids are like, we went to Hawaii. I'm like, guys, I mean from you. I just need some time. I love my kids. The thing is, we don't have family nearby. So it's pretty much us all the time, unless they go to friends or do different things, or, we've asked friends to take our kids and things like that. So it's a different thing when you don't have family nearby. And it's just figuring out what works and what doesn't work and things like that. But what do you need right now? What do you need? I could share a million things of what I need, but what do you need? Just take a moment today, if you can, if you're not driving or working, and just try to make some time today. Commit to yourself to show up. And you can just get a piece of paper, get out your phone, whatever you want to do to write down, and just make a list. Just sit. Like, okay. Maybe you can think about what emotions have been coming up. Are you sad, frustrated, angry, or have you been happy? And if you've been happy, then maybe it's doing more of the things that you've been doing. But sit down and go like, okay, what have I been feeling? Have I been stressed out lately? Have been sad, frustrated, angry? Figure that out. What have you been feeling? And then be like, hey, what are those emotions trying to tell me? What do I need right now? And you can make a list. What do you need? Again, remember, for me, it was sleep. A big one, sleep and stress. I needed to manage my stress better. And as much as I talk about taking care of myself and managing stress, I got a little overwhelmed in life, and I, dropped my mechanisms, and I really needed to pause and pick them up. And that's what happens in life. Sometimes life goes a little sideways, zigzag, up, down. We lose our breath, we lose our footing. And we just need to pause and start again, right? Recalibrate. There are days where our day has not gone on plan, and I just go to myself recalibrating. And it just means I'm just focusing on, okay, things haven't worked out. It's recalculating where I want to go next. Okay. So I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. Thank you again. Please take some time for you. You listened to this episode, so way to go. Pat yourself on the back, give yourself a hug, and remember to take a little bit more time for you to write down what you need today. And then take small steps towards those things. You don't have to do it all in one day. Just small little steps go a long way. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now. Have a beautiful day.